Actor Kim Seon-ho is currently facing serious allegations of tax evasion and financial misconduct involving a private one-man corporation, with accusations specifically targeting the misuse of corporate credit cards and suspicious salary payments. Now, getting into the details, it always starts with a leak, doesn't it? Someone whispering in the dark, dropping documents that are too specific to be fake, and suddenly a beloved actor's entire reputation is hanging by a thread. For Kim Seon-ho, the trouble didn't begin with a public apology or a press conference. It began with the gritty, mundane details of a corporate credit card statement and a payroll ledger that never should have seen the light of day. We're talking about receipts for cigarettes and karaoke bars, payments made to parents under the guise of salaries, and a one-man corporation set up right in the middle of a contract transition. It's the kind of mess that makes you wonder if anyone in the industry is paying their taxes honestly, or if they're just all better at hiding it than we thought. To understand why this is such a massive deal, you have to look at the environment Kim Seon-ho was stepping into when he signed with Fantagio back in February. He wasn't just joining a new agency, he was walking into a building that was already on fire. His label mate, actor Cha Eun-ho, had just been slammed with a 20 billion won fine by the National Tax Service. That's not a typo. 20 billion. The tax authorities weren't playing games, and they didn't stop at the actor. They fined Fantagio itself 8.2 billion won for processing fake tax invoices for Cha Eun-ho's mother's corporation. So imagine the tension in that office. The auditors are crawling over everything. The agency is bleeding money, and in walks Kim Seon-ho, a top-tier star with his own financial baggage waiting to be unpacked. It was a ticking time bomb, and the fuse was lit the moment someone decided to look closer at his finances between January 2024 and February 2025. Here is where the story takes a turn from standard industry gossip to something that feels genuinely calculated. It turns out that Kim Seon-ho didn't just move from one agency to another. He took a detour through the gray zone of private incorporation. He established a one-man corporation in January 2024, right as his time with his previous agency was winding down. On paper, it sounds professional, managing his acting career and theatrical productions, but the reality, as leaked by insiders, was far messier. This corporation wasn't just a vehicle for art, it was a vehicle for his lifestyle. We're seeing reports that he paid hundreds of millions of won to his parents as salary through this company. That's a classic tax trick, right? You classify a gift to your parents as a business expense to lower your taxable income. But it gets worse. The leaks didn't stop at payroll. They went straight to the corporate card. Apparently, the card linked to this private corporation was used for everything from living expenses to entertainment. We're talking about paying for cigarettes and nights out at karaoke bars. For the average person watching this, who pays taxes on every single penny they earn, this feels like a slap in the face. It's the arrogance of it that stings. The idea that a corporation exists just to subsidize a celebrity's nightlife. But let's be real. This isn't just about a few bad receipts. This is about a systematic attempt to navigate the brutal difference between personal income tax and corporate tax in Korea. By funneling money through a corporation, you can avoid the crushing personal income tax rates, which can climb up to nearly 50%, including local taxes, and instead pay corporate tax, which maxes out around 22%. That is a massive savings, and it's exactly why tax authorities obsessively monitor these one-man agencies. What makes this situation so baffling is the timeline. Kim Seon-ho was in the middle of a high-stakes tug-of-war between agencies. He was heavily expected to sign with HISM, a new player linked to Song Joong-ki. There were photos of them meeting in Rome, rumors of longtime staff joining SM. It looked like a done deal. Then the deal collapsed. Why? Money, of course. Rumor has it that Kim Seon-ho was looking for a massive deposit, upwards of 2 billion won, to fund a real estate purchase. Fantagio reportedly stepped up with that number, winning the bid for the actor. But while this contract drama was playing out in the press, the real drama was happening in the background with his one-man corporation. During that transition period, from early 2024 to when he finally signed with Fantagio in February, he was receiving payments through this private entity. His previous agency, now in an incredibly awkward position, has basically admitted they just deposited the money into whatever account he asked for. They didn't ask questions. They just washed their hands of it, leaving him to deal with the tax consequences. Now, the public reaction has been intense, and you can feel the shift in the sentiment. Fans are confused because this doesn't fit the good guy image Kim Seon-ho has cultivated for years. Netizens are doing the math, realizing that while he was playing the romantic lead on screen, he was allegedly structuring his finances to dodge nearly half of his tax liability. The speculation is wild. Was this just ignorance, as his camp claims, or was it a calculated scheme that he just didn't expect to get caught for. The details about the parents' salaries are particularly damaging because it drags his family into the ethical muck. It's one thing to be greedy for yourself, but to use your family as tax shields? That's a hard narrative to spin back. And then Fantagio dropped their official statement. And honestly, reading it feels like watching a lifeboat being lowered for one person while the others are left on the sinking ship. The agency is being incredibly proactive for Kim Seon-ho, almost aggressively so. They confirmed that yes, the corporation existed, but they insist it has nothing to do with his current contract with them. They claim he realized the operation was misleading, so he shut it down. They list the corrective measures: returning the money for the credit card usage, paying back the family salaries, and even returning the corporate vehicles. But the kicker is this line. They say he has paid additional personal income tax on top of the corporate tax already paid. That is an admission of guilt. You don't pay additional tax if you did nothing wrong. That is a settlement. That is the sound of a check being written to make the National Tax Service go away. The contrast with how they handled Cha Eun-ho is painful to watch. When Cha's scandal broke, the statement was vague, all about cooperating with investigations and verifying facts. They left him twisting in the wind. But for Kim Seon-ho, it's a full-throated defense mixed with a detailed confession. It's a strategy, plain and simple. Kim Seon-ho is the active star. He has projects lined up, dramas in production, advertisements running on every screen. They cannot afford for him to become toxic. Advertisers have already started making his videos private, sensing the danger in the wind. Fantagio knows that if they don't get ahead of this, the 2 billion won investment they made in his signing bonus is going to turn into a massive loss. You have to wonder, though, about the ignorance defense. Kim Seon-ho is a grown man, a top celebrity running a business. Is it believable that he didn't know what was happening with his own corporation? That he didn't know his parents were on the payroll or that his corporate card was buying cigarettes? It's a classic excuse. I was too busy acting to know about accounting. But in a world where celebrities are scrutinized for every misstep, claiming ignorance on financial matters that benefit you directly feels like an insult to the public's intelligence. It suggests that he thought he was untouchable, that the walls of the industry would protect him from these messy details ever leaking out. This scandal also sheds a harsh light on the transfer process itself. The whispers suggest that the issues with the corporation were a lingering shadow over the negotiations with HISM before Fantagio even entered the chat. Did HISM see the tax risks and pull back? Did Fantagio see the risk but decide the potential profit outweighed the danger? By taking preemptive measures now, Fantagio is essentially trying to quarantine the virus. They are saying, the bad stuff happened before he got here and we fixed it. It's a desperate attempt to draw a line in the sand between Kim Seon-ho, the private contractor, and Kim Seon-ho, the Fantagio star. The problem is the public doesn't see that line. The public sees a pattern of behavior. Let's not forget the source of this leak. The details about the parents' salaries and the specific karaoke bar transactions aren't things you find in a public registry. This is information that only someone with access to the inner circle could have. That betrayal, whether it's a disgruntled former employee, a leaked document from a tax audit, or someone within the agency, adds a layer of paranoia to the whole situation. It implies that this wasn't just a random investigation. This was a hit job. Someone wanted this out there, and they waited until he was at the peak of his career success to pull the trigger. The entertainment industry in Korea runs on these delicate networks of trust and paper corporations. Everyone knows they exist, but usually they are maintained quietly. When one explodes, it forces everyone to look at the others. Kim Seon-ho's situation is unique because he tried to transition out of that system, signing with a major agency like Fantagio to ostensibly stabilize his career, but the ghosts of his private setup followed him. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of the one-man agency model. It offers freedom, yes, but it also offers the temptation to treat corporate funds as a personal piggy bank. And when the tax authorities come knocking, or worse, when the receipts get leaked, there is nowhere to hide. It is genuinely exhausting to watch these scandals unfold because they always follow the same script: the denial, the vague apology, the sudden correction of taxes owed. But what makes the Kim Seon-ho case stick in your craw is the sheer pettiness of it. It's not just about the millions, it's about the cigarettes and the karaoke. It's about the parents on the payroll. It paints a picture of someone not just dodging taxes, but trying to monetize every single aspect of his life, even his family, at the expense of the public trust. The statement from his agency says he deeply regrets it. Of course he does. He regrets getting caught. He regrets that the ignorant management of his finances is now headline news.